These plants are the best for difficult spots in the garden. If you've got a spot like I have, which has a really white wall that reflects heat, this one faces about west-northwest, so in summer especially it gets super hot and all the heat is reflected from there. It's also, I'm in the tropics, so we have very wide eaves. So you can't see it in the shot, but the eaves come out to here, so you've got a good meter away from the wall, which gets no rain unless the rain slants, and it doesn't often slant in that direction. So this bed is dry, it's hot, it's exposed, and this is the solution. Not only that, I know how to get more out of these babies than you would think, because they can be divided. I'm going to show you how to do that today. The plants are Lomandra grasses. This is Lomandra longifolia and this is Lomandra hystrix. And I bought the longifolia specifically because I could see it's super pot bound, which means it's the perfect time to divide it. And the Lomandra hystrix, well, it's not super pot bound, but I just love the variegated foliage. Look at that with the white stripes, isn't it gorgeous? All right, so I'm going to show you how to divide these today and pop them in, and what we're going to end up with hopefully is a series of grasses along this wall that will, the foliage will look stunning against the white wall, but these plants should survive. All they're going to need from me is a couple of months of regular water just to get them established. By the time we get to the cooler season, I'll hardly need to water them at all, just enough to get them through the dry. And then when we get back to wet season next year, they won't need anything, and next dry season they won't need anything. Easy care. Okay, since I'm going to have less of this one, I've decided that I'm going to put it beside the door. You can see the edge of the door in the shot there. There's another bed like this on the other side, so I'm going to put half of the plant on this side of the door and half of the plant on the other side of the door. I'm pretty sure, looking at this, that I can split it into two. So let's have a look at how to do that. First of all, you've got to, oh, look at that, it's completely hollow in the bottom. First of all, you got to get it out of the pot, obviously, and this came out very easily from the pot because my dog stole it before and tried to pull it out of the pot for me. So first thing I'm going to do is just loosen these roots. I don't have to be too gentle with Lomandras, they're really tough, but obviously you don't want to be too rough either. At this stage, I prefer using my hands because I'm trying to go with the natural inclination of the plant. But sooner or later, I'm going to get to this point in the middle. You can see I can't really do any more than that. Just let me split that bit there. And you can see that's now in half. I've got this here. And at this point, I'm going to need secateurs just to chop through that clump at the bottom. These plants are really important to our First Nations people in Australia. And I'm currently on Gulngay land. I'd like to acknowledge the first inhabitants of this area and to show my respect for elders past, present and emerging, and thank them for the good care they took of this land so that we can live on it and enjoy it. Anyway, so I've got my secateurs. All I'm going to do, I'm going to try and find a sort of obvious split. And I can't make this look elegant. It's just not an elegant process. All right. And I'm going to cut away at the clump until the hardest bit now is not separating the leaves from the roots, because you need to make sure that each set of leaves has a strong clump of roots. You can see the raw bit there where I've cut the clump, but there's still a lot of root stock there. So one of these on each side of the door. And I've got to get it in the ground straight away because otherwise the dog will run away from it. It's been raining for days here, and on the weekend we were flooded. And look at that dirt. It's dry as a bone. Difficult spot. Now, as to use something from the house for mulching and also to keep the dog off the plants, because this is her yard that I'm planting in. These plants are also really pet friendly. I'm going to use this old cardboard box. My children have already reused once to create robots and things. I'm going to pull off a big square. And I'm going to cut a slit in it, down the middle like that. And then I'm going to cut a circle, go around the base of the plant, so I end up with this. So that will make it harder for the dog to dig up. But it'll rot really quickly, and it also readily lets water through, but still will help hold the water in the ground. That's a really squashy cardboard that degrades really fast. Next up we have the Lomandra longifolia, and I've got this around the front, and at the end of this video I'll show you a picture of what it looks like when it's been in the ground for 18 months. The stuff out the front, I never water it, I just ignore it. It holds out weeds. It's so easy to look after, looks fantastic, provides tiny flowers that some people eat, followed by seeds, which our First Nations people used to use to create doughs, bread doughs and things. Although, geez, they must have worked hard for that. And not just that, also a refreshing snack if you're walking past some Lomandra. If you just pull out a stalk, oh, they're really tough. That's no good. Right, if you pull out a stalk, you can chew on that white bit at the end. Quite refreshing. It's better in the bigger ones. Bigger ones taste better. But I mean, that's fine. It doesn't taste like much, it's just refreshing. Oh, the dog's taken away my pot that the plant was in and is now chewing it. Oh, she's a menace. She just, whenever we're doing anything in the backyard, she just comes and steals our stuff. So if my partner's working on the car, he'll turn around to grab a spanner or a screwdriver, it'll be gone. It's just her way of getting attention, I think. Now, I told you this one was pot bound. Look at it. I mean, that's incredibly pot bound. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take it to the tap over there. I'm going to run water over that just to help me loosen it up, because at the moment I can barely do anything. I'm actually thinking that didn't make much of a difference. I'm actually thinking this one I might have to cut all the way through with the secateurs. Just see. No, that's not going to work. And if you're wondering what a tree hugging greenie's doing with a dog in her yard, well, we actually have, so that we have an area for wildlife and an area for the dog, we actually have the backyard fenced off for the dog, and all of the rainforest areas and the other really good habitat is outside the dog's area, so she can't actually disrupt the wildlife too much. I want more than 2 out of this, but if I can start by splitting it in half, then it's easier to not damage it when I split it in half again. You notice I'm being quite rough with it. Okay, I'm starting to see the stalks and the clumps through the base there as I rip. Don't know if you can see that. Oh, disaster, accidentally cut some of them. And that's the hardest bit, is not cutting off bits like that. So there, you can clearly see the clumps that are under the soil. Now, if I break that up again, it's going to be quite difficult to make sure that they actually have enough rootstock each. I need to give them at least a good ball of roots, like a golf ball size at least, to make sure that they can establish, especially in this difficult spot. If I pull that out, that bit there, see how there's hardly anything attached to that. That's going to die. Can I get this bit off? I'm not cutting so much as using the secateurs to lever on this bit, because I really have to make sure I've got rootstock. Okay. All right. Success. I've got 2 bundles there. I mean, I don't know whether these have come apart a bit. They've still got root on the bottom of them, so I'll plant them in with this and hope they do okay. I'm not going to plant them on their own because I don't think they'll survive on their own. And this one's got plenty of root to keep it going. So far, 1 pot has been split into 3 parts. 1, 2, 3. It is so hot here that the sweat is running into my eyes. This one's actually easier to split because you can see it's got like a natural split there. Once again, only cutting when I need to. Oh, not a very good shot. And finishing off with my hands. These are actually really good for erosion control and stuff like that. You can see by the roots and how hard it is for me to pull them apart. Really good at holding soil. So if you've got any banks or anything, these are perfect. And they're used in a lot of riverbank revegetation projects in the right environments. So now I'm just going to lay these out, and that way I can see that I've got nice spacing before I start to dig them in. So I'm going to finish the cardboard. I'm going to put some of the leaf litter and stuff from the garden on top of the cardboard, and in amongst that I'm going to put some rocks, because the rocks will hold the cardboard down and make it harder for that beast over there to dig up the plants. Putting bricks down before I finish the mulching because I can see the dog eyeing it off. And any of you that have got dogs will know it's very hard to keep them away from something when they're dead set on exploring it. I'm going to finish my job here. I'm going to water these in really well, and then we'll finish with a quick shot of my front area, which has had both Lomandra and Dianella grasses, which is another native grass. They've been in for more than 18 months now. They've flowered and fruited, and when we started I was constantly weeding it. Now I hardly ever have to weed it. I literally give it a splash with the hose if I happen to be walking past it with the hose on. Other than that, I just ignore it and enjoy it when I drive in and see that beautiful bank of architectural grasses against the white wall. So stick around for that shot so I can show you what this finished product will hopefully look like. And thanks for watching. Please, to support the channel, make sure that you hit that like button, make sure that you subscribe, and in the comments let me know what other topics would you like me to cover. Do you want to give me any feedback? Whatever you like. Thanks very much. See you next time.